'Twas the nightmare before TLC, and the only thing good about this nightmare is that we were able to wake up from it. Let's get to your Monday Night Raw review right now.
Welcome to the WWE Podcast, the most passionate and authentic wrestling analysis on the web. We've got you covered with every Raw, SmackDown, and NXT show, giving you a no bullshit opinion. We know you love wrestling. We do too. So let's get this show underway.
And that's the bottom line. What? 'Cause Stone Cold said so.
Alrighty, everybody, and welcome to the Monday Night Raw review right here on the WWE Podcast. As you heard me open the show, boy, that is a tough way to start Monday Night Raw, isn't it? I really want to know, please, and I'm being genuine, is there someone listening in the sound of my voice that opened Monday Night Raw, turned it on, and was like, oh my God, this is the best? Does anybody out there, or did anyone out there, not sigh? Was there a collective sigh that I think I heard? I mean, I was sitting in my living room and watching Raw, and I'm like, I hear something. So if that was everyone groaning at the opening of Monday Night Raw, then that makes sense. I thought I heard a collective groan. But, you know, when you look at this time of year with pro wrestling, as I've said in my past shows, this is the time of year that creative takes a massive slumber. They just go into hibernation, and they don't come back until the calendar flips to the next year. December is notorious for terrible creative. And there is some leniency when you look at the cyclical nature of the business that you have fewer people watching in December. There's holidays, right? The NFL is about to kick into the playoffs. You know, you have a lot of, I guess, excuses that you could make where this is their final, their really final resting spot before the WrestleMania season begins in December. So there are reasons, and I understand the reasons for creative just, you know, basically taking the month of December off. But boy, is it hard to watch when it gets here. I mean, it sometimes just disintegrates into the abyss, and boy, we got that in certain segments, not the entire show. Again, the entire show was not terrible, but there were certain segments that dragged it down so much that it did not balance itself out with the positive. So I will get to the positive. For those that think I'm tired, you know, you're tired of hearing me rant. Well, I mean, you may want to just click off this show. I mean, you may want to unsubscribe in the month of December and come back in January, because I don't pull any punches. You know, we call it what it is here. And when creative sucks, we say it. And it's not just, again, to be clickbait. I don't want to be known as that's all he does is rant. But I also am not going to sugarcoat something that I don't believe is true. So there's that. So, I mean, you can think that I'm just about complaining. I'm not. But when the product gives you chicken, you know what? I'm not going to make chicken salad out of it. I'm calling it what it is. So we've got some positive things, as I said, to go over on this show. Certainly there are some bright spots. A very controversial Randy Orton, Bray Wyatt segment that kind of threaded throughout the show. And we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about Lana getting her predictable victory over Nia Jax, and then the subsequent beatdown. And, a whole bunch more stuff. The Bobby Lashley botch with the milk was pretty funny. Again, unintentional. So we've got a lot to cover. And this week, as you know, is TLC week. This was the go-home show for Raw. You'll have the go-home show for SmackDown on Friday. And that means it's a pay-per-view week, which means the Botch Guy is returning to the WWE Podcast Sunday night. Super, super late Sunday night. Probably into early Monday morning as we wrap up the show. And he's been a regular here for the last few months for pay-per-views, and we're continuing that with TLC. And I would encourage you also to go check out his channel, right? Like, if you love wrestling content and you want to see him not just cover botches, of course, being the Botch Guy, he covers botches, but he also covers things that are not just the screw-ups, right? And it's not botchamania all the time with him. He has some really good insight into things and covers big news when it drops. And he's like one of the first people to post something about, news story coming out or a botch that happens. He's right on it, which I think bodes well for his channel because he's one of the first to get on there and first. If you're the first content, then you're the only content for a little bit of time, and you have people tuning into your channel. So I really recommend you check him out, and he'll be joining us again here late Sunday night for the post pay-per-view review show of TLC. That'll be in your feed on Monday morning or late Sunday night if you're up after the show. So that is coming, as well as the preview and prediction show Saturday night. That's going to be a bunch of fun. I am very, very, I feel very confident in some picks, and boy, I wouldn't even touch some of these matches in terms of predictability. It's not an easy card when you look it up and down the line. It's really not that easy. So we've got a great preview and prediction show coming for you Saturday night, and the rest of the week is as normal, right? Like we have our weekend review, we have our NXT review on Wednesday, Nostalgia's tomorrow night, Mimi's back with her highs and lows of the week. We've got a whole bunch of stuff coming your way. If you're a wrestling fan, we've got it all covered here on the WWE podcast. And one last thing before I dive into Monday Night Raw is our website went kaput. I was messing with some settings. I was trying to do an update in the background for just a software update for the theme of the website, and I broke a whole bunch of stuff. So I have our tech guy working on it. So if you go to our website and you're like, what is this? It's a disaster right now. It should be repaired the next week or two. So if you are one of the ones that go to the website, and I want to start using that a little bit more too with video and things, and YouTube as well, I just want to let you know the website on WWEpodcast.com is a bit of a disaster right now. So, all right. So before we get into this again, guys, tomorrow being Nostalgia, and also the mailbag portion of the show, that's your chance to call in. How do you call in? Well, that's a great question. And I've got a great answer for you because it's super easy. You can either email us at realwwepodcast@gmail.com, or you can send us a voicemail at 518-952-0247. That's 518-952-0247. It's a direct number to the voicemail. Nobody picks up. It's just our voicemail for the show. It'll ring a few times, and you get 3 minutes to talk. So after 3 minutes, it automatically cuts you off, even if you're mid-sentence. So right now we have, let's see how many voicemails. We have 3 voicemails right now. Not a whole bunch. So there's definitely room for more if you want to voice your opinions on the upcoming TLC pay-per-view, what you're looking forward to, what you think could happen. Some questions about Monday Night Raw. It's all open to you. So I'd recommend and encourage you to get your calls in by the time, tomorrow rolls around, because I do record tomorrow night. So just wanted to put that out there. All right, Monday Night Raw, folks. I'm going to take a drink. It's water, I promise. And then let's get to Monday Night Raw here. Take a sip of whatever you have in front of you. If you don't, grab something. Here we go. Okay, I'm going to start off with what the show started off with. That's the dirt sheet. If it's not Miz TV, it's the dirt sheet. And I don't know what it is with Vince, or maybe not just Vince, but others in his ear that are just enamored with The Miz and Morrison being on Raw for multiple segments, always doing a talk show, and being just foolish, sophomores in high school, D-bags. I don't follow the magneticism. I don't understand what attracts them to put them on the screen multiple times every single Monday Night Raw. I don't get it. I don't understand it. They're obnoxious, but in a way it's groaning. And I've said this before. I'll say it again, and I stand 100% by it. 100. First of all, this is different than the Street Profits personality, the New Day personality that's just flat out, they should just be heel. Like, I despise their personality, but in a way that I'm like, oh, but they'd be great heels. In this case, they are just, The Miz and Morrison are not just, oh, I wish they'd flip roles. I just want them to go away. And it doesn't satisfy me to see them get their ass kicked. That's not, to me, that's how I know it's not heel heat. Because I know someone out there is going, oh, see, they're doing their job. They're getting you angry. No. They're not getting me angry in the sense of, I hope someone comes out and just, puts it to them and puts the boots to their face. No, I don't care anymore. The Miz and Morrison are everything that is wrong with professional wrestling, or at least they are everything, if you were going to embody and encapsulate a single entity of all of the things wrong with WWE's presentation of professional wrestling, The Miz and Morrison are it. They are it. Why are they it? You may ask, why am I coming down so hard? Well, take a look at them, right? First of all, this is a tag team from 10 years ago that have not grown almost at all. Morrison is the exact same dude he is as when he left. WWE plopped him right back in to The Miz as a tag team with him. And now they are, 10 years older, and they're the exact same guys. They're not evolving. They're not funny. That's even more important. And maybe you're saying, well, they're heels. They're not supposed to be funny. Okay, fine. But they're not even entertaining. You know what they are? They're groan-inducing secondhand embarrassment. That's what they are. I don't say that about the Street Profits and New Day. I don't feel embarrassed watching them. I just feel angry because I just despise that personality. It's the antithesis of who I am. I cannot stand the Street Profits and New Day with their personalities. That doesn't mean that they should be fired. I don't want them going away. I think they have a certain magneticism to them. They're just in the wrong role. Street Profits as heels would be, I think, infinitely more entertaining because they're obnoxious already. Now, with Miz and Morrison, again, they are not funny. They're not entertaining. They are exactly what, if you were trying to get your friend into wrestling and you bring somebody over and like, oh, see, this is what I'm talking about. You got to come watch Monday Night Raw with us. Come watch Monday Night Raw. Give it a try. And this is the first thing that they see. You tell me right now you wouldn't be embarrassed. You cannot tell me you wouldn't feel straight out embarrassment, and you would I would turn red. I mean, I would start I would feel humiliated. Because that's representative of who I am watching a product like this. And it is, I'm not following. Because can someone come up with, fabricate at this point, a narrative, a reason, a justification for why WWE continues to plow these two out there and think it's a good idea? Not only are they terrible in terms of personality, not being entertaining, but they're also super overexposed. That's a perfect storm for ratings drop. I tried to make a fart noise there. That didn't work. It is a complete, perfect recipe for people tuning out and just changing the channel. They are channel changers. They're not heat seekers. They're not entertaining. They are channel changers. And let me also say this. If I was going to shine a little bit of light on these two, Miz is, when he wants to be, he's really good on the mic. When he got serious with Dolph Ziggler of the Intercontinental Championship a few years ago, when he got serious with Daniel Bryan and made a whole bunch of noise, it was probably the biggest moment of his career on Talking Smack, calling out Daniel Bryan. He has his moments. But the joking around heel Miz has zero evolution. Like, tell me he has evolved in that character. He hasn't. You talk about a guy that is just stuck and stagnant and not evolving at all. The Miz is the perfect definition of that. You could tag Morrison along too, who's equally, if not more embarrassing as a personality. Again, this guy in the ring, really good. I mean, really good. That's not the problem I have with any of them. Their in-ring is fine to very good. It's the personality that will drive me up a wall to the point of I feel embarrassed watching. I feel embarrassed as a person. I feel embarrassed for them, which makes me feel embarrassed because I'm thinking, my God, if anyone knew I was watching this, right? It's so bad. So coming up with "'twas the nightmare before TLC." It's so Vince, or I don't know who comes up with this. I want to know what's the purpose of this, and why also do you continue to have these shows of the Miz TV or the Dirt Sheet on every single Monday Night Raw? I would assume that the reason for this is it's a great platform because you can plug any storyline onto that show and you could use it to progress that storyline in a different setting than otherwise would have been done. Talk shows, do present a new platform for any storylines to be plugged in. I mean, how many times do we see Alexa Bliss with different guests on her show before she turned into Magic, which I really miss her, by the way, on Raw. Really miss her. How many times have we seen talk shows bring in different people, and then it brings out their guests that they have that night, and then it brings out that person's opponent to further the storyline. So from that perspective, I guess I understand. It's the fact that these two have had a evolution rate of exactly 0%. They're embarrassing to watch, not funny, not entertaining, not in a heel heat. I hope someone kicks their ass away, which means if they don't check any of those boxes, they are not doing their job, and or someone in creative needs to change something, because it's a ratings bomb is what those are. This is exactly why, if you have people who are not attracted to wrestling and think it's all stupid fake stuff, and it's just all drama and men in tights and all that, this will reaffirm and confirm that belief that pro wrestling is exactly that. This segment is exactly that. And I know I've spent, 10, 15 minutes on this now, but I really wanted to hone this in, that this was just, I guess they executed it as good as it could have been executed, but you have The Miz sitting there, and he has this fake book with a cover that was made for the "'Twas the Nightmare Before" TLC. And then you have AJ Styles playing along. And he's a guy that's challenging Drew McIntyre for the WWE Championship on Sunday. What? What is he doing? Why would he agree to this? And then you have, of course, John Morrison acting as Sheamus, just being a complete goofball. That's not funny. Embarrassing is the only way I can put it. And Amos is standing outside, and he's got more of a personality lately, actually saying things. And so we'll have to see what his role is on Sunday. I've got some thoughts, but you'll have to wait for a prediction show. And then you get Sheamus coming out and actually calling this out for what it is, saying it's community theater. And that's exactly what it is. But here's what I want to say. Just because you call it out for what it is and what I'm actually thinking, and other podcasters and people that actually analyze this for somewhat of a living, that doesn't make it better that you acknowledge that it's terrible community theater. That actually makes it worse, because now you know that you're doing terrible community theater, and then acknowledging it, thinking that acknowledging it's owning it so it's okay. No. Actually, that makes it worse. That makes it worse. So I understand what they're doing, kind of a wink and a nod to what myself and probably a lot of other shows out there will say about this segment. It's terrible community theater, but owning it doesn't make it better. But all right, let's kind of move on from that. And yes, Sheamus came out, and AJ got a lot of heat on, or at least some heat from beating down Sheamus, which is kind of weird to say. So I think Sheamus is babyface right now, like pretty solidly babyface, and I'm feeling a little bit of I'm feeling positive vibes for the character, so they must be doing their job. But I'm gonna be very cautious of this quote babyface turn for Sheamus. The reason I say that is, number one, he's historically been a heel the majority of his career. I think he's much better tailored and fit for a heel role. But secondly, the way AJ Styles beat him with a chair, and viciously beat him with a chair, that tells me that Sheamus will be involved some way, somehow, in the championship match between AJ Styles and Drew McIntyre at TLC. Now, does that mean he accidentally bro kicks Drew again, or does it purposely and screws Drew out of the championship, and then you get, Sheamus versus Drew moving into the Royal Rumble? I mean, there's one theory. I'm not going with that as my prediction, but that's a possibility. Either way, you can bet, given that TLC is obviously no disqualification, you can bet Sheamus will get involved, particularly if Amos gets involved, which he will, and there'll be a great standoff, I think, between Amos, I think, and Drew. In addition, it's very plausible Drew loses on Sunday because this is a match that is perfectly tailor-made for a heel to win, just as Money in the Bank is, any ladder match is, because this, to me, if you have a babyface you don't want to take a pinfall for, you don't want to hurt the guy's momentum, and you want to also get the strap off him, a ladder match is a perfect way to do it. Because you are able to get the babyface out of the situation without taking a clean pinfall or submission. So this type of match, again, is tailor-made for a heel to win, with the babyface not having any egg on their face, metaphorically speaking. And that possibly could happen. It's very possible Drew loses on Sunday. It's not an easy match to call. Again, I'm going to save my prediction for the Saturday night show, but it's definitely a possibility there for sure. So, all right. Well, Keith Lee did have a handicap match on Raw, speaking of John Morrison and The Miz, and he ended up losing. So this was apparently a tornado handicap match because the opponents were not forced to tag in and out. They were able to be in the ring at the same time, so I guess that's called the tornado handicap match, although they didn't label it as such. It's just a handicap match. But I don't know why they never differentiated with that, because it's an important thing to note in a match. It's really an important factor. Because if it's constantly 2-on-1 and they don't have to tag in and out, then that puts the person who's going against them at a huge disadvantage versus the 2-on-1 but having to tag in and out kind of thing, because that 1-on-1's constantly happening. You can't really double team them too often. So, I don't know. Just a little important point that they never really differentiate why or how that happens. Nonetheless, Keith Lee loses. Boy, you talk about a fall from where he was at the beginning. And granted, he hasn't been in any championship pictures outside of a few qualification matches to compete for a championship, but he beat Randy Orton in his debut match on Raw and hasn't lost since then, but then ends up getting a loss here to John Morrison and The Miz. I mean, what? Now look, John Morrison and The Miz, as much as I just destroyed them with their characters, their placement on Raw would tell you that they are fairly high up in the eyes of management. So a loss from Keith Lee to Keith Lee isn't the end of the world for Keith. But, and yes, you could say it's a handicap match, but the way that they won, I mean, it really wasn't something that should have happened, because Keith Lee, he got pushed down by two men who are 200 pounds apiece plus. Keith Lee, they constantly talk about how strong Keith Lee is, and he couldn't push them off. I was fully expecting him to do the old Big Show kick out of, or the Brock Lesnar kick out of, throwing the person off of them, throwing these two off, and then they talk about the strength of Keith Lee, and he just took the pinfall. Again, you could say he's protected by this 2-on-1 handicap situation, but the way that Keith Lee's been presented over the last couple of months, you would say, well, yeah, it's a handicap match, but one Keith Lee is still worth more than a team of Miz and Morrison. The math there would tell you that that's what should have happened, but nope, Keith Lee has been downgraded here by WWE. And I think it also speaks to Vince McMahon's constant on and off syndrome of certain individuals. I mean, how many times have we seen him turn on the gas full blown and then pull back? Turn on the gas, pull back. I'm not following, why are we not elevating Keith Lee, continuously? I'm not saying he needs to go to the top and win the championship, But what about United States Championship picture? I mean, I think that's safe. Him facing Bobby Lashley, I think it would be, facing the Hurt Business would be a fun rivalry. And they're having Keith Lee just backstage flipping quarters, which made no sense, by the way. Why the hell does he have a quarter? He didn't even make sense in that segment. Go back and watch. If he talked about if you flip a quarter, you win or lose. Well, what do they win or lose? What's he even talking about? I mean, I don't know. I don't know if he just missed a couple of lines or what, but it was weird. And then he loses to Miz and Morrison in a handicap match. Certainly a fall from grace from where he started, and it's just, again, Vince McMahon syndrome. And I've read reports of Keith Lee, as everyone has, of going back to the Performance Center and, Capitol Wrestling Center, and just making sure that he, works on whatever they feel like he needs to work on. I don't know exactly what that is. I don't know what Keith Lee is missing. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what exactly they're looking at Keith Lee and going, oh, man, he needs to work on this, or this. I think he was ready. I think he was fine. And he was kind of learning as he was going up in the big leagues here with Raw and SmackDown. And apparently not. Apparently Vince felt that he needed to go back down, which I think is also telling that he lost on Raw. It kind of lines up with that thinking that he still needs to work on things. I don't know. Okay. Mace versus Ricochet. Mace defeated Ricochet. So, boy, oh boy, what are these back-to-back wins for Retribution here that mean, oh yeah, nothing. Like literally nothing. This is just, I don't even know how much more to destroy Retribution. I kind of feel like I've moved on. I feel like, since here's the thing, Hulu doesn't really put any Retribution stuff on, which tells me WWE doesn't find it important enough to condense into a 90-minute show the fact that Retribution was on. Amazing. It's amazing. From where they debuted them back in, what the hell was it? July or something? I don't know. So, we had, again, Mace get a victory over Ricochet. Doesn't mean anything. Dana Brooke defeats Shayna Baszler by DQ. So, boy, this was interesting. We had Shayna Baszler versus Dana Brooke. And you're thinking to yourself, oh, well, this is clearly about Shayna Baszler getting some of her momentum back and taking out Dana Brooke, who has been the one always looking up at the lights to put over whoever is on the other side of the ring. I mean, that's just who she's been. But in this case, Dana Brooke got some offense in. Nia Jax got worried, threw Dana Brooke off the top rope and caused a DQ. And that's why Dana Brooke won the match. So, I did not see that coming. Then we got Nia Jax beating down Dana Brooke, and out comes Mandy Rose with the kendo stick. Mandy Rose beats down Shayna Baszler, beats down Nia Jax, and then Asuka had to make the save because the Shayna Baszler got the better of Dana Brooke, and then Asuka makes the save. So here's the thing. I have no problem with Mandy Rose coming back out and doing what she did. It also creates another established tag team in the women's division that desperately needs tag teams to validate the women's tag team championships. So that's a good thing. I kind of forgot about Mandy Rose. In all honesty, I just kind of forgot about her. But it's nice to see her back. I'm fine with the Dana Brooke, Mandy Rose tag team. Asuka is literally floating out there doing nothing as Raw Women's Champion. Nothing. She's uncontested. WWE doesn't know where to go with her, who to put her with to give her and whoever a championship opportunity. I've said this before in my previous shows in previous weeks, that it feels like they are just holding the course, holding the line until Charlotte returns. Which, by the way, if you follow her on Instagram, Charlotte that is, she's looking phenomenal. And I don't mean in like, oh my God, she's so hot. I mean in like a physical, athletic way. And we all know how good she was prior and how much in shape she was. She looks ripped. And so, not like anybody else has got a bunch of time to go anywhere and travel. She's been killing herself in the gym. And, I'm looking forward to Charlotte returning. But that's what it feels like. As Charlotte was drafted to Raw, it feels like Charlotte versus Asuka is what's next. And they don't just kind of, putting Asuka out there every week to keep her in your mind. But also she's got no defined opponent and hasn't had a defined opponent for quite some time. Like a long time now. So that is kind of concerning that WWE doesn't have the confidence in any other woman right now to challenge for the championship. And it's just kind of, I don't know. It's weird. It's concerning that it shows you a lack of depth in star power on the Raw side of the women's division. That's exactly what that shows. It's a lack of star power, or at least in the eyes of Vince. So that is, and also Asuka, like, being what, a cheerleader, telling people you can do it. I have self-esteem. You know, making it to WWE. If you didn't have any self-esteem, look, you have to have self-esteem and confidence to get to WWE. So all of a sudden you need a pep talk, like it's like a fourth grade, talent show, and you need your teacher to pull you aside and go, "You can do it, Johnny. We believe in you." I don't understand that. So that kind of transitions me into the Lana versus Nia Jax match, which was exactly the psychology it should have been, and I have no problem with the match itself. We got a beloved roll-up, right, which is kind of weird that, you roll up Nia Jax and she's not able to kick out given all her strength. But apparently it's just a bad night for people being able to push themselves out of a pinning predicament. And Lana wins, and she's excited, and she's happy, and she's getting the pep talk from Asuka before the match backstage, and I believe in myself, I believe you can, oh my God, we're just believers, aren't we? And so she wins, and then gets beat down badly by Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler. I mean, brutally, it looks like she tried to break her leg. It was well done. And it did accomplish the goal of getting sympathy on the Lana character, which I thought was nearly impossible given where she was after the Bobby Lashley breakup and divorce, really. So that was definitely a good thing. I had no problem with that segment. The problem I have with is the Lana character itself. I talked a little bit about this, I think last week, or maybe in, I don't know, one of my week in review shows. I understand the psychology of what they're doing with Lana's character. What they're doing is taking a character that was completely over-the-top obnoxious, broke her down, and built her back up from scratch. And I respect that. I respect that. And I am applauding the effort and the results of that build down, or breakdown and build up. I really do. They just broke the character, smashed it, and built her back up from scratch as this kind of, lost in the sauce, very, very fragile, unconfident woman going into the women's division. And they built her up nice, and they were able to get sympathy. Here's a couple of problems. Number one, where does this end? Because she's getting lucky victories. She's getting victories that are not really decisive. In other words, decisive victories are not just roll-ups or happenstance disqualifications or outside interference that helps her, gain a victory. I'm talking hit your finish and win. When has Lana done that? Not Survivor Series. They keep talking about her being the sole survivor of Survivor Series. Yeah, she was, because she didn't participate at all because she had people tell her to stand there like a child, like she was in timeout or detention, and stand there on the ring steps, that she can't play with the adults, that the kids have to sit over here. I mean, that is a pathetic character. That's not a sympathy gaining character. That's a pathetic character, because you want someone to have a damn spine. You want someone to grow a set, right? You don't want this constant pitiful just show of a human being. So that's what Lana's really been, and she's got lucky victories. They have not been decisive, so how long can she go before her luck runs out? And then what? Secondly, she is playing as this no-confidence woman. Well, I would venture to guess, or no, I'm not even venturing to guess, I know, watching her over the last several years, that is the one thing she doesn't lack, is confidence in her character. All of a sudden, she just doesn't have any? What? Why? Because she's a competitor on a weekly basis now? I mean, you would think her personality would continue, and it didn't. And I understand why they didn't continue what they did with Bobby Lashley, and I agree, because it was just an obnoxious, channel-changing personality with Lana. I was never a big fan of that. I really didn't like that. And so I understand, or I agree, but I didn't like just like the jarring transition. I think that's the best way to put it. The jarring transition from the overconfident, cocky, all about me, egotistical Lana to the shy little quiet girl that gets shunned by the big girls on the playground. Since when? Right? Like, I'm fine with the fact that we're here, but how they got here is just very jarring. It made no sense. So there's that. And the last thing I'll say is Lana, in an interview about real life bullying, and I wish I knew the source, I'd give it credit. It was one of the big wrestling websites that reported this. She did a recent interview and talked about how she dealt with real life bullying, and that, she was told she doesn't belong here, and that she doesn't have what it takes, and you can't do it. And she said that every time she heard that, it was motivation to prove them wrong. I mean, she's talking about real life scenarios. I'm not talking about wrestling or storylines, Raw. This is what she apparently dealt with over the last, year, 2 years, I'm guessing since she transitioned to a performer, a wrestler from a valet. I'm guessing that's the transition we're talking about and the lack of confidence. But this just groan-inducing, just stomach-churning, almost Stephanie McMahon-inspired story that she would love to have everyone talk about is now Lana's story and how she got bullied. And I believe she probably did. I mean, I do believe that she probably did. But, I mean, you're a grown woman, right? Like, in some form or fashion, I guess we deal with bullies even as adults. I get that. It's not just about kids in school. But can we please just move on from this sappy, like, when people tell me I can't do it, I just stand up and it makes me more motivated to prove them wrong. Oh my God. Can we get any more cliche? I mean, I don't know. I'm not a fan of that at all. And look, if she overcame bullies in her real life, I mean, I guess congratulations. You're an adult, right? So I guess congratulations. I mean, you're a grown-ass woman. I mean, if you can't stand up for yourself, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, you're what? Maybe 30, upper 20, 30 years old. I don't know exactly how old Lana is, probably around that age. And you're just learning to, I take motivation, or I turn that negativity into motivation. Well, congratulations. I mean, did you get that from an Instagram post? Right? Like, did you get that from someone's story on Instagram? That's so motivational. Maybe we can make a meme out of it. And I know you're making light of bullying. No. I'm not. It's a problem. But it's more of a problem when you're in school and you don't know how to stand up for yourself. You're learning who you are. It shouldn't be a problem at 30 years old. I mean, like, if you can't like take that as a 30-year-old person and you get shut down and you feel bad about yourself, I mean, I don't know. Look, maybe it's just my dark side coming out here, and I do understand bullying is a problem, but when Lana talks about it in real life, come on. I mean, the biggest thing I have with it is that it feels like it's a corporately created narrative that she's spewing out. That's the biggest problem I have with it. I'm not advocating for bullying. I think it's awful. I think it's an actual problem, especially on social media. And absolutely, even as a grown person, when people attack you on social media, it gets to you, right? It gets to you. But you learn how to adapt and learn and just ignore that stuff, right? But the biggest thing I have with this is that you should go read the script that she had. I mean, it felt like it came out of the mouth of Stephanie McMahon, and it just feels very corporate. That's the biggest problem I have. Maybe I should just kind of adjust my narrative here for those that are come after me, like, social media is toxic. A lot of people get death threats, and I understand that. That's a serious problem. I am not making light of that. I just think that her corporate response was what made my stomach churn. How about that? Let's take a step back before y'all just try to like bully me on social media, right? Because wouldn't that be ironic that I'm talking about a bullying segment in her real life and then I get attacked on social media? Kind of the irony, right? Okay, moving on to something else here beyond this whole mess. Matt Riddle Oh boy, I was trying to find something good. Riddle versus MVP. The match was fine. It was super short. I don't have much to say about the match. I mean, I think the longest part of the match was the slow-mo of Riddle taking his sandals off and fireworks going off. Because apparently fireworks are needed for Matt Riddle every single time he slides off his sandals. I am not a fan of the Matt Riddle character at all in the babyface role. I think and you may be saying, oh my God, what are you be complaining? I think a lot of people are miscast. That's the biggest problem, as I had with Roman Reigns for 6 years. He was miscast. Now look at him. I haven't said one bad thing about him since late August. Not one. Not one. So it's about miscast, and Matt Riddle, I've gone off on him too. I think he's an excellent in-ring worker. He's got a presence. He's just a goofy pothead surfer dude that I cannot relate to. And I know he spoke, like, I think it was my co-host last week put it perfectly. He is the 2020 version of RVD. It's exactly what he is. It's exactly what he is. But that's not endearing to me. I'm not a fan of the bro, like, we should sit back and smoke one, man, and have some bro nuts. No. That's not funny, cute, or endearing to me. It's just obnoxious and irritating. I don't know. It doesn't resonate with me. It does not resonate with me, this personality of his. So I think Matt Riddle belongs a heel, period. Same with Street Profits, which is probably why I rat on them, on a weekly basis, personality-wise. In-ring, nobody's a problem. This is not a problem with Matt Riddle. But Matt Riddle, again, disposes of MVP quickly and then scurries out of the ring as the Hurt Business come out to get some retribution, no pun intended. But then he's trying to sell Bronuts, and this is beforehand, but he's trying to sell Bronuts and market himself, and here's the sweet spot of, I don't know what they're doing with Riddle. I have no idea. I don't know. But he gets a quick win over MVP. So nobody loses, nobody gains. It's just kind of staying very stagnant, right? I don't think anybody gained anything or lost anything from this particular encounter. All right, and then we get the New Day and Jeff Hardy versus the Hurt Business. Look, I have no problem with this. This was actually a really good match. I'll say that. Let me get a little more positive here. I really enjoyed this match. This is a match that, if given a pay-per-view spot and they were given 20-25 minutes, they could blow away. They blow the doors off the building. All four men are just insanely gifted athletes. And there's no story here, really. There's no real story per se. It's just a bunch of excellent athletes in the ring telling a story really from scratch. And I really don't have a problem with this. Lashley eventually got the lock on Hardy and got the victory. So Hardy was the one that took the pinfall here. I have no problem with that. And what was a really good match. All right, here's another segment that was not on the whole, not on the Hulu version. It's Elias's opening act. So here's what it says. And this is not on Hulu, so I didn't actually see this. But Elias is in the ring with his guitar, and he reveals that he is joined by Jackson Riker. Making his return, he claims that he has been transformed by the music of Elias. Through Our Truth interrupts to apologize for interrupting our main event. The 24/7 train comes rolling through, and are wiped out by Jackson Riker. So, oh boy, Jackson Riker. I think this could be good for Elias. Number one, because they're similar looking, but he has someone to really kind of freshen things up. That could be an interesting duo, and I'm all for it because Elias, while everything is gimmick-based and we need bombastic personalities, Elias goes overboard. Or at least WWE presenting him does. Because it's more about his guitar than it is about the in-ring. That's a problem. You can't get over by just singing songs. You have to eventually put on really good matches and get into a story with somebody that we actually care about and have a reason to fight them and have the fans care about the outcome. And we have not had that with Elias yet. So then 24/7 train with R-Truth. I mean, I don't even know what to say about the 24/7 championship anymore. I'm going to, in the interest of not going negative again, I'm just going to leave it alone, but you know what I'm thinking. I will say R-Truth is one of the few guys that are good at comedy, and it's hard to do, and he's one of those few. I found it funny when he was talking about getting a PlayStation 6 because all the PlayStation 5s are sold out. That was really funny. I mean, R-Truth has a knack for that stuff, and he goes all in, and he's hilarious. I mean, I do love R-Truth in certain segments. Which, by the way, I mean, I was trying to get a PlayStation 5 earlier today from Walmart and Best Buy online, and that was a damn disaster. I mean, impossible. If anybody else tried to do the same thing, I mean, everything crashed. You'd add it to your cart. It wasn't there. I mean, it was just an absolute mess. All right, moving down the line here to Bray Wyatt and Randy Orton. This was interesting. Okay, so Bray Wyatt comes out, and he had Mercy the Buzzard, Huskus, and Ramblin' Rabbit at ringside watching, talking about Randy Orton. And Bray Wyatt's cracking jokes, and corny jokes that he's laughing at, because he's the evil little child co-host, child show co-host, and I understand that. He's like the evil Mr. Rogers. That's been a kind of a trope over the last year or so that he's like that, and I get it. So he stops because Randy Orton interrupts him, and Randy Orton basically says that he wants to play hide and seek. So Bray Wyatt obliges, and they go on a little hunt for hide and seek. And he hunts for him throughout the building. He runs into several people, and eventually he finds a chair in a room that's rocking back and forth. One that was eerily similar to, if not identical to, the chair he would bring out when he was the Swamp Cult leader as Bray Wyatt with the Wyatt family. And he sat in it and really just kind of walked into the trap almost on purpose. Randy Orton attacked him, slammed him into a metal barricade a couple of times, shoved him in, like, I thought it was a coffin, but just a big wooden box, and then proceeded to light it on fire. I was very concerned WWE was going to come up with camera angles that out of nowhere were there. I was waiting for that, and it didn't happen. But he lights it on fire. And then, after he lights it on fire, after, 20, 30 seconds, the Fiend pops out, gives him the mandible claw, which apparently is irreversible. I mean, this is the most devastating finisher in the history of WWE, that a guy that is facing you with his hand at his throat, you can't just kick him in the nuts or use your hands that are free to punch him in the face. How is the mandible claw that impossible to reverse? I've always wondered that. It should be one of the easiest finishers to reverse, or at least get yourself out of. Anybody else think about that? I do, because I'm like, Randy, just, if you're that desperate and he's going to make you pass out, just kick him in the nuts. I mean, it's right there, and you have two hands free. Nothing is restricted. None of your limbs are tied down. Everything's open for business. Why are we not trying to get out of it? No one's even tried to punch him. I mean, I don't get it. I mean, maybe I'm reading into it a little bit too much, but to me, the mandible claw is probably the easiest possible finish to get out of. It doesn't get any easier than that. So, nonetheless, Randy Orton basically tries to commit murder, and the Fiend pops out and, again, takes him down. So, I mean, I know people are losing their minds over this too, and I guess I could go off the deep end with it. But I like Randy Orton so much as a heel, and Bray Wyatt is like, I don't know what he is. And I don't know if he's a heel or babyface, and WWE not defining him. I think they think is creative and cool and hip, and there's no such, the heel and babyface, that's passé. There's lots of shades of gray. Yeah, well, in wrestling storylines, there should be clear black and white. I mean, it just should be, because that's what tells the best stories. I know in real life there's shades of gray. This is where you don't need to replicate that. You should define who we should like and who we should hate, because otherwise, if you don't, then it becomes very kind of muddied, and it becomes very convoluted, and it leads to a lot of indifference when you don't define it. It's not a badge of honor when you have a character that's in between and that you're too lazy to define as one or the other. And that's what it is. I think when they have a character that is in between, as they say, it's because they don't have the balls to define them as one way or the other. That's what it is. Because then they could kind of use them as a malleable character where they could go one way and then go the other. It's just gutless. It's gutless when you have a character like that. And it's a cop-out when you have a character that is, quote, in shades of gray, that they're not this, but they're not this. They're kind of in here, just like real life. That's a cop-out. That's called lazy, gutless booking. That's what that is. That's all it is. It should be black and white to the best of their ability. In this case, it's not. I like the Fiend character. I like Randy Orton. He's defined as a heel. But Bray Wyatt could also argue as a heel. You could. Very easily. So, okay. He tries to commit murder. And, look, we've seen this in WWE's past with people trying to light other people on fire. We've seen it, especially with The Undertaker. Remember with Kane, how many times lighting a casket on fire with The Undertaker in it? I think it was like the Royal Rumble in, oh gosh, what was it? 98, I think it was, when Kane lit the casket on fire. And I mean, we've seen it throughout the years. But it's striking that this took place on a PG show. And yes, it's the outside of the box. I understand that. It's not like he set the inside of the box on fire. But, I mean, it's a little bit over the top and takes you out of the moment a little bit. But Randy Orton did burn down Sister Abigail's house. Granted, no one was in it, in the middle of the woods. And Randy Orton just continues to light crap on fire with Bray Wyatt. That seems to be his method of attack, is arson against Bray Wyatt. So, I don't know. I mean, Randy Orton gets outsmarted again and taken down. Okay, fine. I mean, I'm very interested in the finish of this match. I'll say that. I'm very interested in the finish of Bray Wyatt versus Randy Orton because I don't know which way they go. This is difficult. I was talking earlier in the show about matches that I have no clue what they're going to do. This be one of them. This is one that I really could see going both ways. You also have to remember, Edge is on the edge of returning, pun intended. So where does that stand with The Fiend? Don't you want him looking strong? But you also have The Fiend, who has only one blemish on his record with Goldberg. Do you really want him to take the clean loss to Bray Wyatt, to Randy Orton? I mean, there's a lot to look at here. I don't know where they're going to go, and I'm not going to get any more of a sense because Raw's over. You're not going to get any more interactions with these two. I'm torn as hell. Torn as hell. Let me know what you guys think. Call us. What do you think's going to happen with Randy Orton and Bray Wyatt? Let me know. It's very difficult. I don't think this one is clear cut. Anyone that thinks it's clear cut is just fooling you because it's the first encounter with these two. Both really shouldn't lose. I don't know. I really don't know. I guess I'll save my further thoughts for my Saturday night show. All right. Let's see. Should I close the show? I'm trying to find out what else is on. Oh, good grief. How could I forget? The main event. The main event with Drew McIntyre and AJ Styles. It was the Ascension ceremony. Oh my God. Which, by the way, in TLC matches, why is it essentially a ladder match? You have tables and chairs in a normal ladder match anyway at your disposal. Are they just not preset up on the outside, which is what the difference is between a TLC match and a ladder match? Because a ladder match is exactly what a TLC match is in terms of the methodology of winning. And there are always tables and chairs at ringside or under the ring to use at your disposal. So, I ask you again, what's the difference between a TLC match and a ladder match? Okay. But we get this promo between the two, which is actually really good. I enjoyed. This is probably AJ Styles' best promo he's had since he got buried alive by Undertaker at WrestleMania last year. Because he was serious. He wiped off the stench of that terrible community theater presentation at the beginning of the show. He got serious. WWE did a good job of making him feel legitimate, making him feel like he could potentially beat Drew McIntyre. Many people are thinking Drew's going to go over on AJ. I'd be careful. On that prediction. If you're going to put money on that, I'd be very careful. I really enjoyed this segment from a promo perspective. That's what I feel like this program's been missing is, give me substance. Why are these two fighting? Why do they care? This is their first interaction. I like how they sold that. there was some good verbal exchanges back and forth. AJ saying that, he's done his research on Drew McIntyre. Why did it take him 19 years? Well, I don't know why you have Drew not saying, well, how long did it take to get AJ Styles to WWE? How long did that take, AJ? There's some things he missed that he could have probably whacked AJ Styles on. This was good. We also had AJ talk about how he's won and defended at TLC and defended the WWE Championship, and that he has a proven record. And then Drew McIntyre, comes back, and what he probably should have said is, yeah, I've never competed in a TLC match before against you, but shouldn't that make you scared, AJ? Shouldn't that make you worried? You have no idea what I'm capable of in a match like this. There's something you could have done there, right? Like to kind of retort what he said, that he has experience and Drew has none. Well, that means you have no tapes to look at. You have no record to look at. You don't know what I'm capable of in this match. But hey, I digress. I guess I'm cutting a promo for them. So, I really had no problem with this. The only kind of weird part for me, and you know what I'm going to say here, they put in theatrical music when Drew McIntyre put his championship in the rung and then they hung it up. And then we always have to have, which number one, I think that's the first time they've actually added music during the time it was happening, not like a post-production video package. They put it while it was happening. It was kind of cheesy. Like, really? Are we really doing this? The theatrics were very, very loud on Monday Night Raw. Just obnoxiously loud. And then, of course, we get the ascension to the top of who's going to grab the fake, championship at this time. Not fake championship, but who's going to ascend the ladder faster right now, even though nothing's on the line. Let's do a symbolic gesture. Let's give a preview. Why? Why do we always have to do that? We shouldn't have to do that. It's a ladder match. We get Miz and Morrison attacking Drew. Drew fights them off. Claymore. And then AJ Styles beats down Drew McIntyre pretty badly. Has a bit of an interaction with Amos. That was interesting. And then gets a phenomenal forearm from AJ Styles as AJ Styles ascends, grabs the championship, and holds it up high. And we close the show. So, again, you could look at any TLC go-home show, and you can almost guarantee that there's going to be somebody ascending the ladder. This is what they're going to do Sunday. They're sending a message. They're making a statement. You heard that all over Monday Night Raw. Can we find some different phraseology? Please, can we just have Byron Saxton or Vince or Tom Phillips or Samoa Joe? Please, pick up a thesaurus. Can we look for different words beyond statement and message? I don't know. It's one of those things that just overly used, and it's just it's like a corporately approved word that people abuse and use just to the nth degree. I'm very just sensitive to that kind of stuff that WWE does. So, passionate Raw review, guys. This one, I know I'm going to get some feedback on the bullying stuff. I'm not pro bullying at all, nor am I. Again, I'm not putting down Lana's story of overcoming bullying, if in fact that's true. I want to clarify. I don't like that it's a perfectly corporately approved story, isn't it? It's just such a PG soft story, and it's very cliche. That is my problem with it. I'm not advocating for bullying at all. I understand it's a big problem, especially on social media. I get it. Okay. So I wanted to put that out there, but tons more content again coming this week, guys. Just a crap load. We've got Raw review, we've got the NXT review show. We've got Wrestling Nostalgia. We've got the mailbag all in the next day and a half. The 3 shows in a day and a half. And then we've got the SmackDown review with Michael Ritter. We've got the whole preview and prediction show with TLC. We've got Mimi's highs and lows for the week coming up this weekend. It is a jam-packed next 5 days for your ears, and I hope you guys stick with us here as we get closer to TLC. Don't forget, if you want your voice on the show, you want to voice an opinion, you want to give me some of your thoughts or predictions for TLC, give me your voicemail, or send me your voicemail. Give it to me. Just send it to me at realwwepodcast@gmail.com. Or again, that number, if you want to call us, is, as I pull this up here, 518-952-0247. So don't be shy. give us a call if you'd like to get on the air. I'd love to have your voice, especially if you're new and you're kind of like hesitant. I don't know, I just like listening. Trust me, we only have 3 voicemails right now. So if you want to get yourself in there, we absolutely have room to put you on the show. You know, typically we have like 6, 7, 8, sometimes more voicemails. So it's a pretty quiet week, and hopefully things pick up, and I think they will as we climb into January. This is a very quiet month. Probably the quietest month professional wrestling wise is December. So we are in the valley about to ascend to the peak, and that is WrestleMania. So all right, everybody, thank you so much for listening. Give us a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts. It really does help us out. And consider also subscribing on Patreon, because that's a completely ad-free place to go. No ads at all. Very streamlined. And it's available for $1 a month for the entire podcast library ad-free. Okay, thank you, everybody, and I'll talk to you next time.